Are you feeling stuck in some area of your life, or maybe you don't even know where you're stuck? You just know that you are, and you want to get things moving and get your energy flowing again? Stay tuned, because today we are talking about an amazing modality that's going to help you get unstuck, whether you know what's going on or not. Remember to subscribe for free information every week to help you create a happy and healthy life. Kristen Arneberg is an explorer of the architecture of consciousness who uses BioField Tuning to instantly dissolve issues, problems, and complaints. Using tuning forks, one can engage the biofield in its natural state, one of frequency and vibration. By introducing a harmonic sound wave pattern to the biofield, distortions are identified and modulated to a healthy frequency. Healthier frequencies result in healthier minds, bodies, and spirits, less stress, and more vibrancy. Kristen firmly believes that everyone can benefit from this elegant, non-invasive modality to heal their lives and the planet. So today we are with Kristen Arneberg, who does BioField Tuning. I had a session last week and it was awesome. So Kristen, tell us, what is BioField Tuning?
BioField Tuning is a relatively new healing modality that works with a person's frequency, and their field is always expressing it all the time. So I mostly work with people who get stuck and don't know how to change their frequencies, which is so frustrating for your clients who are LOA people, law of attraction. And essentially, I just take a tuning fork, this one, and when I strike a puck and introduce it to your field will modulate with the tuning fork. And then whatever frequency is stuck will now become smooth and life changes.
Wow. So this is kind of like what a lot of people in law of attraction talk about with entrainment.
Yes.
Right? Like if you're with somebody who's at a higher vibe and you're kind of open to it, your vibe can raise up to their level. So this is physically doing that with the tool of the tuning fork.
Yes, you could say that similarly. Yes. Yeah. Traditionally, like in sacred science, that would be like Shaktipat, where you have a transmission.
Ooh.
And that's what was happening. The guru's field was strong enough that the alkalight's field would entrain and they would move up together, or at least the alkalite would. And then what you can do is use a tuning fork, almost like surgery.
Ooh.
To go into the spot. Yeah, to go into the spot and find, that's the thing that's misfiring. Let's harmonize that, and then the person's frequency's entire field will change too, because it's all interrelated.
Cool, cool. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, how did you get into this?
A lark. Completely lark, yeah. My mom, I love her to death.
I know your mom, she's awesome.
Yeah, you gotta read this book. And I'm like, what is it? It's tuning, whatever. And she kept talking about it because her friend was talking about it with sessions. And one day I was doing a liver cleanse. And I saw that there was a liver cleansing audio. And the thing is that my dad died when I was 4. And so I've always, through consciousness stuff, you got to deal with your parents' stuff. But what do? You don't have any memories. I don't remember anything about my dad, but liver carries the energy of father. I was doing a liver cleanse, and I thought, all right, what do I have to lose, right? So I sit down, I listen to it, and I knock out completely. I'm like, boing, what the hell happened to me? I have no idea what happened. I listened to it again until I could stay awake, and I literally could feel both sides of my lobes on my liver.
Wow.
They were bopping and weaving, and it turns out I'm pretty energetically sensitive, and that was showing up, and I was like, wow, this is the craziest thing. Now, the cool part is that I tend to overheat. In Ayurveda, I'm all pitta, I'm fiery, I'm an Aries, blah, 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 blah. So I'd be the person with like the air conditioning on and the windows open, and I'm sticking my head in the freezer, all of that stuff, which is liver stuff, right? Yeah. It's heat. Immediately I calmed down. The heat did, like 20 degrees. I felt like someone turned the air conditioning on inside of me after listening that one time, and it just literally changed everything after that. I did detox. I had kind of flu-y symptoms because it's liver, it's the big filtering thing.
Yeah, uh-huh.
But then I decided, how do I get as many of these as possible? Because this is the coolest thing. It was like magic. I mean, it was so that started my journey, and then I started telling everybody else to do it, and worked with my friends too. Like I wasn't the freak in the family. My mom did it, everybody did it, and we were all seeing these amazing gains. And then over time, I was like, this is what I want to do.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah. Wow. And that helped you clear up stuff from your childhood
Huge.
That was kind of sitting there.
Totally. And I had no way to get to it, because if you don't have memories, what do you work with? And it's even more frustrating because if you're motivated to want to heal and to want to take care of your stuff, but you have no idea what it is, but you're living the outcome, and how do you get there, and all of that stuff. Like anybody who grew up, with an absentee father, like I did because he was dead, what do you do? How do you even account for how that affects you? because you can't do it consciously.
Yeah.
You can't get there. But this way you can.
Well, you know, as you're talking, I'm thinking, I think this would help a lot of people who know they have some kind of block, but they don't know what it is. And, you know, I've had that myself, and we'll talk in a minute about, you know, my experience during and after my session with you. But would this help people if they feel like they are not, you said stuck, if they're stuck in some area of their life, it doesn't matter what area of their life, right? Whether it's health, career, money, relationships, this can help them clear whatever's there that they might not be aware of so that they can move forward. Their energy is open to receive those new experiences.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. Yeah. Everybody's system right now is set up basically to protect itself, right? And so, as a consequence, sometimes healing and changing is very difficult if you do not have a way to replace the protection with something else. And I think one of the reasons why BioField Tuning is so profound and effective is because it does, in fact, replace it. You get a replacement. You're not ripping something away. And that's why I emphasize we're modulating this. We're not getting rid of negative energy. You're not negative. None of this stuff is negative. We're just modulating this so it flows better, and then as a consequence, you will flow better. Because it does take the beautiful raw data of anybody who's getting tuned and elevate it just a little bit. So there's more flow. And then you just keep going with it. And it becomes this amazing experience.
And I think most people I think can understand what you're saying, but I think musicians are especially, because what I'm thinking of is tuning a guitar.
Absolutely.
So, you know, if your guitar is out of tune, your song is going to sound like crap, but you tune your guitar and then it's beautiful.
Absolutely.
And then the music flows.
Absolutely.
And feels better, and it's easier to listen to.
And it's funny that you mentioned that, because most of when I went through my training, I think all the men were musicians.
Well, of course. I think anybody who's a musician is going to be interested and drawn to this kind of modality because it involves music and tools that are used for music.
Absolutely.
Well, is there any one particular issue that you see come up more than anything else in most people, kind of across the board?
In general terms, I would say stuck.
Just stuck in general?
But pragmatically, anybody in the West, as far as I'm concerned, needs an adrenal reset, okay?
No, you suggested that for me.
That's probably the biggest thing,
Yeah.
especially because once you hit 35, you've been on the planet long enough, you've been bashed around enough, you've tried things and failed things, and maybe you've been married and then divorced, or you went to school or took care of elderly parents, or whatever that is. American culture generally is very adrenally. We are very much the Marlboro Man ethic. We are the you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And we blow out our adrenals, and we override our own ability to take care of ourselves through sometimes very legitimate reasons, caring for a sick child, a special needs child, a parent. The energy that anyone uses to do that over time is adrenal energy. Adrenal energy is great, but it's really just designed to go on and then off.
Yeah.
You know, for the mother.
You're like on all the time.
Yeah, but when you're on all the time, you're going to burn out. And that's what I see 99% of the time is like, that's the one thing that if I could gift and go and tune everybody all at once, it would be that.
So because a lot of people, I think when you were starting to talk about that, what I was thinking of is Dr. Kristen Arneberg talks about people who are sleep machos. Who are like, I only got 4 hours of sleep last night. I only got 2 hours of sleep, and I'm so productive. So does that apply to this as well? Because that burns your adrenals out when you don't get enough sleep, right?
Absolutely. And just the basic ethic of that's perceived as a value. And that makes you, I don't know what, Superman. Like, we're all trying to be Superman.
Yeah.
And that's true for women and men. The entire concept of that is, in my opinion, rather distorted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Rather.
You know,
extremely.
Like, let's take my face and grind it in the concrete and call it good. I don't know why I feel like crap. You know. But that is so ubiquitous in the way that we live, and we take pride. That's one of the problems with American culture, is that we take pride in that Marlboro Man, stiff upper lip. I can do anything. I'm a superhero. I stand alone all the time. They've done studies between Asian cultures and Western cultures, especially American ones, where they take one person and they take a picture of an individual, and then they take a picture of a group. Western culture sees the individual as the peak of human potential, and they are strong.
Wow.
Eastern cultures look at that and see someone who's lonely and deprived and separated. And it's our adrenal energy that allows us to do this all the time. And then by the time you're 35, it starts breaking down. I mean, life is not supposed to be designed that way.
I always think of the corporate mentality, which I was very fortunate. I was at Capitol Records for 20 years, and about 99% of the time, I had great bosses who had their priorities straight. Well, you know, in the 90s, all we were doing was having fun anyway. But later it kind of changed, and corporate people came and took over the business, and the fun went out. It was all about money and business, and that mentality came in where it's like, well, you should be working 10, 12, 14 hours a day, or you are not productive, you are lazy. And it's one of the reasons I was reluctant to let go of lupus, because I had it for so long before I cured myself. Because I was like, oh, people are going to think I'm lazy if I need to rest.
Yes.
So, and I wish that we would adopt more of a European mentality where people go on vacation for 2 months a year.
Yes.
They have nap time during the day. So since our culture isn't there yet, this is a great thing to help balance people.
Yes.
And would you say it corrects a little bit of the adrenal fatigue?
Really what it does is it restores the adrenals to their proper rhythm.
Oh, right. Okay, because we're talking about the frequency.
The frequencies, yeah. Eileen calls it factory settings. Like there is an optimal frequency or rhythm for your adrenals to work on.
It's almost like it helps us get back to that childlike energy and joy.
Yeah.
So it helps with adulting.
Absolutely. It's the cure for adulthood. Yes. I call it like, you know what, it gets you back to your magnificence. The life and the person and the thing that you were meant to be and show and express and shine. It helps you have the energy for that, because everybody has that in them.
Yeah.
I've never met a single person that doesn't know intuitively they have magnificence in them. There's just stuff in the way.
Or they forget, or it's just shoved to the side because we're too busy being busy and trying to be productive and trying to keep up with that corporate mentality of work, and connected to work through your phone all the time. You never get a rest. And oh, that is so awesome.
Yeah.
So I never thought of that. Okay, good. I'm so glad you brought that up. So do you want to demonstrate?
Oh, sure.
Some of the forks is so cool. I had a distance session over the phone, so I didn't see any of this going on, but I heard it was like ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Which was cool, but it's nice to be able to see it.
So this is the primary tuning fork that I use. It's a 174 frequency, and I hit a puck. This is just a hockey puck, okay? And it creates a tone, which I hope you guys can hear.
Now I hope the sound goes.
Yeah,
so
we can do it good.
I have to turn it up.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. So this produces a tone. Now, every fork that I use is a multiple of the Schumann resonance. And the Schumann resonance you can equate to the heartbeat of the planet. And in my world, every living thing vibrates when it's healthy at a multiple of the Schumann resonance. When it changes, when your frequency changes, it's now out of sync with the Schumann resonance. And what this does is introduce a multiple of the Schumann resonance in your body. Your field recognizes, I'm singing the wrong note. I'm out of tune. This is how I can retune myself. So it's almost like a conversation. You can do resonance entrainment, but it's also a conversation. Your body says, all right, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's the 174. I have several other unweighted forks, but I also use weighted forks. And this one doesn't make a sound, but it carries a deeper, more, I guess you could say nourishing vibration. So I'm going to zap you a little bit so you can feel that.
Oh, wow. And the whole table's vibrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And you can use these in the field. They don't make sound, but actually they do make sound. It's just inaudible sound.
I can feel it though.
Yeah. And
That's
this
amazing.
can change a room. You can tune a whole, we just change the energy in the room by doing this.
Oh, awesome. I wish my cats were here so I could see if they're reacting.
Yeah.
That'd be cool because they feel it.
And so that's essentially what I do. You can use these on the body with crystals as well, which are frequency enhancers.
Yeah, and you've got your crystal.
I do. Yeah,
and what's this?
I love this. This is my favorite. This is quartz crystal. I use that sometimes, but mostly I use this one. This is healer's gold.
Can we see? Yes, we can see. Okay.
Okay. It's magnetite and pyrite.
Oh.
Yeah, and since I'm working in your electrical system, which is magnetic, by the way, using another magnetized tool is profound. It's pretty amazing. And this is the stone that's recommended for all healers to use because by being virtue of doing a healing modality, you end up being exposed to things.
Yeah.
This is one of the clearing ones, but it's calming and soothing, and some people can just hold it and relax if you're sensitive. Not everybody is.
It's interesting. It feels different.
It feels very different.
I don't think I've actually ever held one before.
Yeah.
It almost feels like a magnet.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
It's very active.
So what you use it in your healing, if people have this themselves, is it good to just hold it? That can just help balance their energy. How do you use it with the tuning forks?
So the mechanics would be, I I'd be in your field, okay, and I hit a snarly spot, and it's not shifting with the forks. Then it's a really gnarled frequency. So the crystal, or the magnetite, functions like a solvent that loosens the tightness of the frequency, so then it can unravel, and then it can harmonize with the fork. So if I find that, here's your sticky spot right here, I take this, I go like this, I literally put it on top of the sticky spot. Yeah.
Oh, really? So you put that physically on the part of the body, or in the area?
Both.
Yeah.
On the body and in the field.
Wow.
Because the field is the record of your life, from birth to the present moment, which is the body. If something happened when you were 4, like something, so my dad's death shows up in my field, right? I've had it worked on a lot because I've had a lot of tuning. But say it wasn't shifting, and the practitioner, whoever's tuning me, is like, all right, I need some bigger guns, or I need a solvent. They would take this, put it on that spot that wasn't shifting, and what happens is the sound carries through the magnetite, and it carries the energy of the magnetite, and then it gets applied to the snarl in the field right here, and then it begins to relax. Wow. Very much like if you glued something together, you put alcohol on it, there you can separate it. Yeah. Same idea.
Cool.
And then you continue on.
Oh my God, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's interesting, the different tones of the different forks do different things. You said they have different aspects, right?
Yeah, they do. This is the big one here, the 174 is your general purpose pain. This is also very good for pain, if you got stuck in physical pain. And each one is, here they are, they're correlated. Oh. Different sizes, yeah, sorry. No, that's okay. So here they are. And the 174 is your all-purpose. The next one is the 417, and it's reputed to be the frequency of universal love.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes, and many people love this one. It sounds like that. This is a little brassy, so here we go. That's universal love. This one is the 528.
Oh, my husband says I have bat hearing, and so
this would be very difficult. Okay.
Yeah, I hear really, really high things that no one else can hear. Okay. So no, I love it. No, it feels good. It feels good, but I hear it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is considered the DNA repair one.
Okay.
And so when you're using that frequency, theoretically, it's supposed to change your DNA. I can't attest to that. But I do know each of the frequencies really do function different things. Like if I get stuck in a really hard spot, for instance, I had a client who, when she was about 8 years old, she had scarlet fever. And that was definitely in her field. And we were working on her 6th chakra, and we hit that spot. And the crystals weren't working. So it was like the entire frequency dropped out, because for several days she had like 104, 105 degree fever. Wow. And that's why it was showing up in her 6th chakra. So what I did was just spend a lot of time there introducing the various frequencies, so her field can begin to understand again how to flow in a harmonious way, not in a traumatized way by scarlet fever.
Wow.
Does that make sense? And each one of those, each time I did it, I was just introducing that sound.
Yeah.
And it's nurturing. It's very nurturing in that context.
Well, I know that it was for me. Well, let's talk a little bit about my experience. So I had a session last week, and it was so interesting. It was interesting being over the phone because I just relaxed and kind of let you do your thing. And you moved through all different parts of my energy field. And one of the things that I love was the chakra work that you do, but also the tapping. So she incorporates EFT tapping. And I was telling Kristen that I'm so used to leading everybody else through tapping because I use it with my clients a lot. I do it myself every day. And it was so nice to have someone else lead me through it that was for me, stuff going on with me that was going on in my body, in my system. So I could feel it while you were doing it, and I did zone out. I think at one point you were like, have I lost you? Because I think I was so zoned out. I was just listening and letting her do her thing, and I don't even know if you were asking me a question or what, but I had to come back to reality. But I was just going to share my experience afterwards. So I was obviously very relaxed, kind of zoned. It was a Friday, which was perfect, so I didn't have to do any work. The next time I do this, I'm going to make sure I don't have to do any work afterwards because you need to relax and allow yourself time. But the shifts that I noticed were so subtle. I just realized, certain things aren't upsetting me as much. I'm not yelling at my husband as much. Sorry, babe. Which he's grateful. And then I noticed that I felt like I had very subtle shifts that were allowing other things to come to me, like new ideas were coming to me. I was more relaxed about things that if they popped into my head, they would upset me.
Yeah.
I was open to more inspiration and that. So it was very, very subtle. But then I thought, well, shouldn't there be a bigger shift? Shouldn't I have some big major thing like you did? You had your big, your liver was vibrating and you were like, oh my God. And so if people don't experience something major, that's just their experience. It's not wrong, right?
Oh, yes, and part of why I think for you maybe you experience it more subtly is because of what we did. I called it rotorooter. We reconnected you with the present moment. So your engagement, the energetics of your engagement with the world is what we just worked on. So you were giving equal energy to the world as well as receiving energy from the world. And that was part of what shifted for you, is that now the flow, the proper flow between the in and the out, the support and the giving is now the mast is straight up and you're balanced.
Right. And I forgot about that because it's just been like give for years.
Yeah, exactly. So we opened up your backside, which is what governs how much do you receive from the world.
Right.
And adrenal stuff will shut down your ability to receive because you think you have to do everything. That's one aspect. But that's part of why your experience was kind of cool. and no heavy detox, none of that stuff. The reason is if we do more work too, having that open will make everything that comes after it much easier.
Okay.
The big stuff, that was an organ. Organ work is very powerful in BioField Tuning. Each organ carries an aspect of consciousness that it's doing its job managing it, but it hasn't got much attention because we don't look at it that way, except for Chinese medicine. They do view organs as having consciousness, but they don't work directly the way that BioField Tuning does. And the liver and gallbladder are super powerful in our Yang culture. But each organ carries that a frequency. So when you tune it, that's the dramatic change. And then also a traditional session, that's not the rotorooter. We'd be working from the edge of the field, which is your birth and gestation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
Your birth story will come up, girl. And sometimes your ancestors pop up, and I'm like, all right.
Wow.
Because
Kristen's very intuitive, too. So she'll tell you what she's feeling and seeing and all that.
Yeah, and it can be a real trip. And sometimes incredibly validating for some people. And sometimes like, oh my gosh, I never even thought that was the issue. And sometimes it's ancestral. I've had people where I've had to tune out their ancestral stuff before we can even get to work on them. Some people with very specific backgrounds, often Holocaust children or grandchildren, anybody with the Holocaust in their background or slavery, the high ticket suffering stuff. Sometimes I've found something as simple as being an immigrant. Daughters of the Revolution type stuff, people who came to America wanting and wishing for a better life and found how incredibly difficult it was to live here. Like you can find all kinds of stuff in the field and it's literally ancestral influences that are contributing to the consciousness of the individual.
Wow.
And it's not this lifetime, so how do you get to that? One of the greatest gifts of this for me is there are so many people carrying, now they're finally understanding the science behind at least 4 generations are affected by physical events.
Wow.
Yeah, and so many of us, especially in our individualistic society, with our isolationist tendencies and our need to be the strong, powerful one, have struggled with influences that were never theirs to begin with. And created ideas about themselves that they are weak or damaged or broken or whatever it is. But it's not that. It's that you may be carrying the frequencies of the Holocaust or of slavery or some deep, profound something that happened in your ancestry, and it informs your consciousness, and we can do something about it. That's the best part.
So is this good if you have a specific problem with a specific organ, like if somebody has a heart issue, or if women are dealing with menstrual issues, or if you have lung issues? Can it help balance out those energies and improve a physical condition?
Yes. Okay. However, caveat extraordinaire, I am not a doctor.
Of course. We have to have the medical disclaimer.
All of that stuff.
It's not a replacement for medical treatment, all of that.
Yeah. Yes. Grief. Okay, lungs. If you have a lung issue.
Oh, that came up too. Yeah,
grief.
I forgot. Yeah.
Grief is often what gets stuck in the lungs. And energetically, at least the way that I experience it, it shows up as an unwillingness or a lack of desire to fully inhale the potential of living.
That makes me want to breathe.
There you go.
I feel like I've been holding my breath while you were saying that. Okay, yeah.
And that's the trigger. So some of that probably is there. And that's a normal state. When you're grieving, you don't want to inhale more potential, more life, more magnificent brilliance. You can't because you're grieving. But sometimes when that energy gets stuck, it starts manifesting as asthma or chronic bronchitis or all kinds of other stuff. Because frankly, we suck at grief. Okay, we are horrible with grief. It's complex. It sticks around. It's like 5 stages. One of them is anger. It goes all over the place, and we're supposed to be robotic superheroes who only think about productivity, and grieving is not about being productive.
And you know what? That's really interesting. So let me ask you about that for a second. Because obviously I just lost my mom a year ago, but there's no, and this is one thing that I'm learning, there's no time frame, because in April I was like, it's been a year, I should be over it, I need to get productive and get on with my life. But I remember my mom actually saying she still cries over her father. She lost her father in 1956.
Yeah.
He was pretty young. She was pregnant with my brother at the time. And that stuff can I feel like we always have it in our body, but if we release it or not, that is the determining factor of how it's going to affect us. Do you find that to be true? Okay, because do you find grief that people have been holding on to for decades sometimes?
Forever.
Wow.
And sometimes it's ancestral grief too. I mean,
oh,
yes.
God, there's that stuff again.
Yes, grief is really, in my world, a very powerful one, because it's a year and I should be done. That's part of it. And we have no rituals in place. We have very little that supports the living.
Oh,
we don't.
That's big. We have very little in place that supports the living.
Yeah.
We have very little in place that supports the living.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's another element too, at least in BioField Tuning anatomy, is everybody right off of you, about here and here, you have an energy center. On the right side is your dad, the left side is your mom, and that's her consciousness.
Wow.
And when I hit there, often you can learn, you can sense, like, your mom was like this. Do you have a great relationship? Do you not have a great relationship? Is it triggering grief? Is it doing this? What's pretty incredible about BioField Tuning is that there have been many people who have improved their relationships with their parents because that part of their consciousness, which is really what your field is, gets tuned.
Wow, I'm sure a lot of people could use that.
Yeah. So mom lives in you.
Yeah.
And that's part of why she had been grieving her father. Mom and dad live in you, so she's been grieving her father since the 50s because he actually does live in her. She feels him.
Wow.
He exists in you. It's not, we're not unilinear, isolated creatures that, are like stone. That's not how we are. She's there. And my mom's here. And we're all connected. That's part of the ancestral inheritance that you can find in a person's field.
Is there anyone in particular that you think is a prime candidate for BioField Tuning, or just everybody?
Do you breathe? And actually, I've heard stories of people tuning at, people who have been dead.
You can tune somebody who's
I have never done it. I've never done it. So there's some would say that that's unethical because you're not getting permission. There are others that say, no, go ahead, do it. I've never myself done it.
But I think that would make sense if somebody had a lot of trauma in their life, or if they died in a traumatic fashion.
Yeah.
That's really interesting because, their family, because I see this may be a really weird thing to bring up, but, I love Long Island medium, Teresa Caputo. And a lot of people get peace when they find out when that loved one who passed away is able to communicate what happened.
Yeah.
When they didn't know here whether, was it a suicide, was it not a suicide? What actually happened in that car accident where they were alone and nobody was there and nobody witnessed it. And it brings the family some peace because they know that that person was like, okay, here's what happened. I want you to know what happened.
Yeah.
So I think it would bring peace to everybody, the spirit of that loved one and the family or loved ones left behind.
Absolutely. And at least in my practice, and a basic core tenet in some ways of BioField Tuning is the mouth frequency in the field that I modulate with a fork.
Yeah.
Is often the byproduct of having something gone unwitnessed.
Oh, yeah.
And unacknowledged. And, Americans are masters at shoving it away. And we have lousy support systems for witnessing and rituals and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That I'm not surprised. And that has to go through ancestrally. It's going to come through in a given person's life. Sometimes just having somebody sit there and acknowledge that this thing actually happened. It was important. I don't have to get over it. I don't have to have a story about it. And an unfortunate byproduct, I think, of American culture is the story is already written into you have to get over it. That's your story. What if you can't?
Yeah.
And then here's a hammer. I'm going to beat myself up because I can't fulfill the story of what I'm supposed to be doing, which is getting over it and, all of that stuff. If you just acknowledge and you witness, And through that, you really are endorsing humanity, how it shows up to you right here, right now. And that's the greatest gift.
That's pretty amazing. And one thing I thought of while you were saying this is, what about people who have been victims of abuse?
Profound.
Because I know a lot of people, there are subconscious things that they're not aware of. They suppressed it. Some people don't even remember, or they don't want to remember to the degree of like just so in denial, but it's still there, obviously, whether it was just emotional abuse or it was physical abuse or sexual abuse. It seems like this would help with that.
Profoundly.
Whether they
know it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, the frequency will still be there. Very common in tuning is if something that comes up that's getting touched upon with a fork, if it's too intense for the client, they'll go out. And that's okay. And that's the system's natural way of anesthetizing the client so they can get the full benefit of the experience, but they don't have to be awake to get it. It's much more like sound surgery.
So that's a relief. So if somebody has some kind of issue that they are aware of, they can get this without having to do the whole therapy thing of talking about it, delving into it and reliving that pain and the trauma. Yeah,
it becomes far less about the narrative than shifting the mass, literally the mass of the energy, harmonizing that energy, and then letting it flow. And when that happens, the charge, the pain, the suffering is taken off, or at least diminished.
And I would think for veterans too.
Yes, PTSD.
PTSD,
yes. Yeah, anybody with PTSD out there, I would start actually with a couple sessions, then an adrenal reset, because that's part of what's blown out, and then sixth chakra.
See, I love that. I love that you incorporate the chakras. And there are all these unseen energy fields of the body, and you seem to be incorporating all
trying
of them.
to, because they're all songs. They're all songs. Everybody's singing a song, you know? And ideally, it's the song of your magnificence. And so all I do is I'm like, all right, this one's a little off. Let's work with this one. And then eventually the song gets, pure and brighter and lighter, which is what we all want.
Yeah. A lot of people are not into meditation. As beneficial as it is, it definitely helps calm your mind and your body and help you get clearer and open up to guidance and whatever might be trying to come to you. So this seems like a good alternative if people are not into meditation. You have to find your own way of meditating. Some people it's walking in a field or riding a horse or walking their dog or gardening. So this could be a different form of meditation.
Absolutely. If you are using meditation as a clearing, this is like that on steroids.
I think anybody would want that. Clearing on steroids. Bring it on. So tell people about your Being Worthy of Money session, which is free on your website.
Right. So that's free on my website. And one of the things, I work with people a lot around abundance and prosperity. So this Being Worthy of Money session is targeted, or it's out there to help people get out of the struggles with money. It works because with any morphic field, if you set the intent that anybody who will ever listen to this will get the benefit from it, the magicosity of this is that it actually works. Yeah. It's amazing.
Well, and that's the intention for this video for anybody watching it.
Yes.
So, now, is this a recording? Okay, it's a recording. And it's free on Kristen's website. So how can people find you?
Go to KristenArneberg.com.
And I will put that.
It's right on the top little thing.
Is there anything else that you would like people to know about BioField Tuning?
It's a little bit like the manual that you wish you had. That the sages, I suppose, throughout history, they all talk about vibration and purification and all these other things. This is like actually how to do it. And you don't have to meditate for 95 years or become ascetic or purge, physically and go through all these really crazy things. You actually really don't have to do that. BioField Tuning will take the place of many, many things that reflected the truth of vibration.
Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
For being here. This was so interesting, and I hope that you all got something out of this because I enjoyed my session so much. If you're interested in trying this out, contact Kristen because she can do distance sessions. She can do a session with you no matter where you are, anywhere in the world.
Yes.
And it's just on the phone, and you will get the same benefits. So with that, I want to thank you for joining me this Friday again and for my new interviews. I am now doing interviews. So thank you for being my very first interview.
Thank you for having me.
And just as a reminder, if you are interested in my free guide that you can get, I'll put the link here. Where am I? Whoop, it's got to be on the left side. Whoop, over Kristen's head. My free guide, manifest anything you want, you can click there. The link will also be in the description below. And for the best information about law of attraction and holistic living, subscribe to my channel and make sure to hit the bell to be notified every time I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching and joining us this week, and I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Okay, this might get edited out, but I don't know. Okay, you know what just popped into my head? I can't sing it because I don't want any copyright issues, but Cat Stevens' song, if you want to sing out, sing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I'm glad I brought that up.
Yeah.
Yay!